Good one tonight in Milwaukee with the Pistons in town. Milwaukee's come back to earth a little bit after that 7-0 start, but still one of the best in the league. Detroit has won 5 of their last 6. The Bad Boys backcourt of Isaiah Thomas and Joe Dumars recently reunited. For Isaiah on point to discuss the current state of their beloved Pistons.
Players only?
Players only. Detroit's playing pretty well.
Yeah.
Dwayne look like he has him playing well. I like it. Yeah. I like where they're headed right now.
I love the way your draft pick, Drummond, has come around.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, when you drafted him, you left a good foundation to build off of.
Yeah. The way the NBA is now, the best players, you have to draft them so young. So young, until you have to account for those 2 or 3 years just to grow up.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like just to grow up. And so a lot of these guys, you look at them early on and yeah, there's some concerns. But, you know, Zeke, if you go back and draft all of us at 18,
Yeah,
it would be some concerns about everybody.
I know you and I both have to take some pride in the way the Pistons have kind of bounced back. You look at what Casey is doing as a coach. Reggie Jackson, Blake, Drummond, all those guys are playing well. And it seems like, they broke out the silver and black the other night.
Yeah.
So it seems like they're trying to get back that old identity that we once had.
I think it's important for any organization to be able to clearly point to and say, what's our identity?
Yeah.
If you don't have an identity, it's hard to win.
Very hard.
I would say it's almost impossible.
Yeah.
And so, to win and to be a champion, and you have to know exactly who you are when you walk through the door every single day. And I think that's what's happening with the Pistons.
Yeah.
And it's really good to see. It's fun to see right now.
It really is good to see.
I mean, there's some fans, man, that have hung in there the entire way, man. You got to be happy for them too.
And Joe, every time one of them walk up to me and say, "Hey, man, I'm so happy that you guys won, and thank you for my memories and everything."
Yeah.
You know what I always say to them? Hey, thank you, because all them prayers and cheers, we really needed it.
Yeah, we needed it.
We needed every single one of them.
Pistons certainly on the right track at the moment, at least it seems that way. 4th in the East right now, 9-4 on their home floor, new court.
Oh, nice.
As of next year, downtown Detroit. Andre Drummond, rebounding machine as always, and Blake Griffin has settled in, a very productive guy. Listening to Zeke and Joe talk about the Pistons and about identity, of course, their identity is easy to recall. They were the Bad Boys. That kind of told you who they were. What is the Pistons' identity moving forward?
Moving forward is pointing forward, and it's all about Blake Griffin. And being there the other night, Sekou, for the players only game, was the first real egg they've laid in a while, because they were playing pretty good basketball. The Warriors just come in town. They beat them pretty confidently. But Russell Westbrook and OKC came in with their defense and kind of took them out of their game. But after talking to Coach Casey, to your question, Matt, that Coach Casey and Blake from day one had one of those conversations that we as players always want to have. Coach, what is my role? I'm playing through you, period. Reggie Jackson, I'm taking the ball out of your hands. We're playing through Blake. And when you talk to all the players, after week 1, after week 2, oh, Blake's willing to share. We thought it was all Lob City. And then Blake said, no, go back to when I was in high school. I was a guard my freshman and sophomore year. He had one of those growth spurts like Anthony Davis.
Right.
His daddy was a high school basketball coach. So his overall game has always been solid, just we hadn't seen it in a long time. And Dwayne Casey has tapped back into that Sekou, and that's why he's off to a fast start.
Yeah, I saw Case in Vegas, during Summer League. And, being from the state of Michigan, growing up watching the Pistons, I walked up to him and I told him the truth. I said, listen, there are a lot of people I know back home who are really happy the Coach of the Year is coming to Detroit because they understood what he built in Toronto. You take that template with the young talent they have, which to me is still untouched in terms of what Luke Kennard, Stanley Johnson, and some of those younger guys can do. Blake has been a bonus, being able to get Blake Griffin and him being as effective as he's been as the point player for that team. I don't care what his position is.
Right.
I've been arguing about this for the last 2 years. I felt like Blake's game had evolved with the Clippers even, and he wasn't getting credit for for becoming the player. Remember when we first got in the league and we used to stay up late at night?
Yes,
watching West Coast
CBG,
games and texting about-
yes,
right.
come on.
What did we all say then?
Yeah.
Man, if Blake ever develops the rest of his game, he's
Right.
going to be dangerous. Well, he's dangerous.
Yeah.
He's going to be an all-star in the Eastern Conference this year. He's going to lead this team potentially into the playoffs where they could make noise. They have one of those rare combinations in the league right now, and he and Andre Drummond, where not everybody's going to be able to match big man for big man like that in a playoff setting. I love what they're doing. It's going to take some more bumps in the road, I'm sure, to get the right group playing the right way. But Case has got him on the right path, and I think Blake is playing fantastic. You start there in the Eastern Conference right now, you got a chance to make some noise.
It's an interesting reset to build around Blake Griffin at this point in his career. He's 29. He's in his prime, theoretically. He's had a lot of injuries along the way, but he is only 29. They're on the hook for the contract, which is formidable. 3+ more years, 120 million, something like that. Starting from this point, is he the centerpiece of a contending team if it all works out?
It depends on what else you add to that mix. But I would tell you, you wonder about a guy's contract and how it looks in 2 and 3 years. His deal's going to look pretty good when you think about what John Wall and some other guys are going to, in terms of just salary in the next 2 to 3 years.
If he's still really
if
productive.
he's still productive like this in 2 or 3 years, that to me, that's going to be not a bargain, but certainly worth every penny if Blake Griffin can be the change agent you think he could be for this group in Detroit. I think his game now, even more so than when he was younger, is perfect for this, today's NBA, because he's a big guy who can facilitate for everybody else and get his own shot.
Right.
He handles the ball and shoots it well outside on the perimeter. He's the prototypical power forward, point forward for today's game, much like what I think Chris Bosh was at the peak of his career. Maybe a little underrated, but maybe not the number one player on a championship team. But depending on what else you can add to the mix in Detroit, Blake could be very, very important to a winning situation in Detroit.
And for the marketing people in Detroit, they're happy.
Huge.
Because the kids are still there before the game. Blake. So he still has some star power left, along with his game changing a little bit.
Well, don't kid yourself. That was part of the equation.
That's
When they
right.
brought him in.
Yeah,
They wanted
that's
to
right.
generate
Make
some
sure.
excitement in that building.
So far, so good.
Put some butts in the seats,
That's
as
right.
they say, as
That's
well.
right.
That never
That's right.
hurts.
Never hurts.
All right, keeping an eye